I want to give a quick shout out to Frank. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. Thanks for making comments on the videos, and thanks for suggesting this video. Let me know what you think. Welcome back to Jack of All Trades, a guidance channel for young men. Today we're going to talk about stubbornness, and this is a really interesting one. Most of the things we've talked about have been positive attributes, things that you can work on, things that you can develop within yourself. This is one that has a good and a bad. There's a bad side of being stubborn. I think we all know that, and we'll highlight that a little bit. We'll start with that. And there's a good side of being stubborn. There's a good side of knowing what you want and going after it and not being deterred. So we'll hit both sides of stubborn today. We'll talk about the negative side first, and then we'll move on to the positive side of being stubborn. There's a fine line between stubbornness and the positive side of that, which is dogged determination. And I like that. Instead of calling it, hey, there's a negative side of stubborn and a positive side, it's really there's stubbornness and then there's dogged determination or persistence, one of those things that's typically more what you would consider a positive quality. And we'll hit on both of those today. So there's none so blind as those who will not listen. Like I said, we're going to start talking about kind of the negative side of that stubbornness. And if you're not willing to listen, if you are entrenched in your viewpoint and you're not willing to hear other people out, congratulations, you're stubborn and you need to work on it. We've all been stubborn for certain things. We've all felt like we're in the right. And I think when most people get really stubborn is when they're emotional about something, when they really feel like, nope, I'm right, I know this is how I feel. And that's just because you feel a certain way doesn't make it right. It doesn't change the facts. It doesn't mean that you are, in fact, correct. So when you're in that situation, a lot of people won't listen. They won't listen to what somebody's telling them. They totally get entrenched and they dig their heels in. And as this quote here says, there's none so blind as those who will not listen. So if you won't listen, you are effectively blind because you can't hear other viewpoints. You can't hear other arguments. Maybe you can't even hear facts that people are telling you. I do not think much of a man who is not wiser today than he was yesterday. And I think when you're stubborn, when you really dig your heels in, you don't learn new things. People don't approach you and try to have intelligent conversations. You've dug your heels in. You're not going to be any wiser tomorrow than you are today or than you were yesterday because you are entrenched in your viewpoint and you think you're right. You're probably emotional about it, and you'll argue with anybody who tries to present new facts or present a new way to think about something. And so really, the way to get out of this is to be open-minded. The way to get out of this is to, instead of when somebody's talking to you, thinking about all the reasons, oh man, I'm going to hit him with this as soon as he's done. Oh, he's wrong here. Look, I can't wait to tell him this. Listen to what they're saying. Be an active listener. So instead of being the listener who's just waiting to get your point in, waiting for him to pause, so boom, now I'm going to hit you with my knowledge. Listen to what they're saying. Listen to why they're saying it. Try to understand their reasoning. Be an active listener. That's a lot harder than just being ready to pummel somebody with your facts. Try to listen to people, listen to what they're saying and why, and that can maybe help you get out of that, out of being stubborn. Pettiness of mind, ignorance, and presumption are the cause of stubbornness, because stubborn people only want to believe what they themselves can imagine, and they can imagine very few things. So there you have it. Ignorance, presumption, pettiness of mind. So being small-minded, being ignorant, maybe not knowing the facts, and presuming that you know the facts. And what really boils down to here is you're not the arbiter of truth, or the stubborn person, whoever's being stubborn. They are not the arbiter of truth just because they think something is the answer, or they think that their way is the best. And this doesn't always, this can apply to anything. This can apply to politics, work, school, things at home. I mean, sports. I've played a ton of sports growing up. There's a lot of stubborn people in sports who, nope, this is the right way. And hey, you're stubborn. I understand that you're saying this is the right way. That was the right way last season when you had a different team. Maybe that's not the right way this year. Things have changed. We need to evolve. You're being, you're being ignorant, and you're presuming that your way is the best way when in fact maybe it's not. Maybe you should, at least consider something else. And being stubborn, it really puts blinders over your eyes. You can't see any other arguments. You can't see anything else that's going on. So this is something you need to guard against. This is something you need to be aware of, and aware that it's something that you could be or you will be at some point. There are people who are, very stubborn by trait, and there are people who, are less stubborn. But at some point, you'll be stubborn because you'll be emotional and you'll feel like, nope, this is the right thing. And try to catch yourself when you're in that moment. When you're in that moment, like he's 100% wrong, I'm 100% right because I feel this way. Pause, listen to what they have to say. Try to be open-minded. Try not to put those blinders over your eyes and dig your heels in. Those who never retract their opinions love themselves more than they love the truth. what I really like about that quote is at some point you will have to retract your opinion. I mean, especially when you're young, we like to have real strong opinions about things, and we think we know how the world works, and I would never do this or be this or say this or have this or whatever it is, do these things. And as you get older and as you mature, you realize, man, I had a really strong opinion about that. I was maybe really judgmental. I was really stubborn about that. I didn't hear other people out. And you'll find yourself in a situation where you're that person that other people are saying, I'd never do that. Or your friend or family or something like that. And all of a sudden, your viewpoint totally shifts. And you'll probably look back and think, man, I wish I hadn't been so judgmental. I wish I hadn't been so stubborn. You can avoid that. You can avoid that right up front by, again, watching out for those signs, watching out for the time where you feel like, nope, I'm right, he's wrong, and because I feel this way. And that's not the time to be stubborn. That's the time to hear somebody out, to have an intelligent conversation, to take your emotions out of it. So being stubborn can be a good thing. Being stubborn can be a bad thing. It just depends on how you use it. This is where we're going to kind of shift to start talking about that positive side of being stubborn. Maybe you want to call it perseverance or a more positive trait. So it can be a good thing. It can be a bad thing. It's how you use it. And to me, it's how you apply it, right? Am I applying this stubbornness towards my opinion or my feelings about something? Or, it's okay to be stubborn. If you are the most educated person in the room on a topic and you've researched it and you've looked into it and you've studied it, it's okay to be a little bit stubborn. Hear somebody out and not be arrogant, but hear somebody out. Okay, I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but here's why I think what I think, and here's why. I've looked into this. I've researched it. I think the other really positive way of being stubborn is if you're shooting for a goal. If you have a goal in life, if you have a goal at school or a goal with some sports or a goal with work, making a business, or hey, I want to make a business and I want to be a business owner. Well, you're not going to make a business immediately and be immediately successful and just step into fame and making tons of money. It's not going to happen. You're going to have failures. A lot of people who are very successful with businesses, it's like when you look into it, it's like their 12th business they've made or their 19th business because the first 18 all failed and went bankrupt because no one was interested. And then boom, they have a success. Those people were stubborn because there were people telling them, what are you doing, man? Just go get a regular job, or quit chasing this goal, quit going after this thing. It's unrealistic. And they were stubborn and it worked out for them. So there are times when being stubborn is good. And if you're going for a personal goal, or something at school or work, anything in your life that you think you can achieve and you really want this thing, and I think I can go after it. Being stubborn then is a positive thing. Be stubborn when you run into failure. Don't let failure divert what you're trying to do. Be stubborn and say, all right, well, this didn't work. Maybe I changed my tactic, but I'm going to have the same goal. I'm still going to get there. And maybe this isn't the way I'm going to get there, but now I'm going to try this, or I'm going to keep going after it. And that's the positive side of stubborn. All my problems bow before my stubbornness, and that's kind of what we've just been talking about. If you have a goal, you're going to run into problems. I mean, nothing in life is smooth. Nothing happens, super easy, especially, when you're trying to make a lot of money or even hey, I want to make really good grades at school. Well, you're going to have a test that doesn't go well. You're going to turn in a homework and not get a great grade on it. At work, you're going to turn something in that you thought you did a good job in. Your boss is going to say, hey, this isn't what we're looking for. And those are all problems. Those are all things that maybe slowly, you feel like are diverting you from your goal. And that's the time to be stubborn, to say, well, all right, I took that test. I didn't do well. I'm going to keep studying. I'm not going to drop this class. I'm going to keep studying. I'm going to get after it, and I'm going to do better next time. My boss didn't like this, but he told me what he wants, and I'm going to fix it, and I'm going to get after it. And I'm going to show him I can turn in a good product so I can get that promotion. That's the time to be stubborn. That is the time to say, nope, I'm not giving up on this just because maybe I didn't do as well as I wanted or I ran into a problem. I'm not going to let that slow me down. One of the best paradoxes of leadership is a leader's need to be both stubborn and open-minded. A leader must insist on sticking to the vision and stay on course to the destination, but he must be open-minded during the process. And I love that quote. And what comes to mind for me, so my job, I'm in the military. I'm a helicopter pilot, and we were opening up a brand new forward operating base. And in the process of opening that, we knew exactly what it needed to look like. We knew what it needed to look like, how many people were supposed to be there, when it was going to open, all that stuff. But we had to make the whole thing. We had to stand this whole unit up. And we thought we knew, like we know the goal and we even know how to get there. This is not going to be that bad. And we ran into a ton of problems. And we had a lot of people come to us and say, hey, you guys think this is the right answer, but it's really not. You need to go about it this way. And you guys, hey, people, this is going to work, but people hate it. Why don't you try this? And we had to change a lot of how we got to our goal. Our goal didn't change. We were still headed to the same place. We still were going to stand up this forward operating base at the same time in the same location, but how we got there shifted a lot, and we had to be very open-minded during the process, a lot more so than I would have said going into it. And that was kind of a success story where we were stubborn about the goal in terms of, nope, we have to open a forward operating base because we have to be able to do search and rescue out of this unit on this date. But how we got there, we weren't necessarily stubborn about, and we were determined and we persevered, but we did shift some things to make it easier on people or to be more successful, or raise morale, stuff like that. So that's kind of what we're talking about there, and that illustrates, how you can be stubborn in a positive way where it's not a negative attribute. I like to end with some Bible verses. We'll kind of have one for the negative and one for the positive. So a man who hardens his neck after much reproof will suddenly be broken beyond remedy. A man who hardens his neck, that's just a phrase for a guy who's stubborn. Somebody who's stubborn and consistently stubborn will suddenly be broken. And I think what happens is if you're a person who is entrenched in what you believe, and it's okay to have conviction and it's okay to be passionate, but if you don't ever listen to what somebody else has to say, and you're always right in your opinion and what you believe, and there's no room for discussion, people are just going to stop discussing things with you. They're going to stop having conversations with you. You're going to be a lonely person. And I've known those people who are very opinionated and very, and it's okay to be opinionated, but the people who won't listen to anybody else's view and they talk over somebody and they dig their trench in and like, nope, this is it. This is the answer. I'm not listening to anybody. It doesn't work out for them. People don't enjoy working for them. And in my experience, mostly within work, they're not very successful because they're not team players. People won't enjoy working with them, and people won't work on teams with them, and it doesn't serve them well. Whereas it's okay to have a strong opinion and it's okay to be a strong personality, but you need to listen to other people. You need to be open-minded. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. And here we're talking about the positive side of being stubborn, and that's that perseverance. Let us run with perseverance the race marked out with us. Use that perseverance in your race, whatever that thing is. For me right now, hey, it's work and kids and making these videos, and I'm going to keep persevering. I'm going to keep going after them as we continue to get followers. But whatever it is, it's a goal in sports, it's a goal in life, it's something at school or work or something with your family. Persevere. Don't let these small failures trip you up too much. If you have a small failure, that's probably a good time to sit down and reevaluate how you're trying to get to your goal, like we did trying to stand up that forward operating base. But you don't have to change your goal. Persevere. Be stubborn in that regard and not in the other regard. Be open-minded but stubborn at the same time. That's a little bit tricky, and it's a fine line, and that's something you'll have to find yourself. Thanks as always for listening. We really appreciate it. Please like the video, share it with a couple of your friends. We'd like to get some more subscribers and some more likes on our videos. And subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you're notified when we put out more videos. We'll have 3 or 4 coming out this week. And thanks again for listening. We appreciate it.